G'day there, guys. Of course I know how to drive. You just put the Prindle stick into gear, right? It's Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now, if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the Barbie, smash that like button, and tell me what your opinion is down in the comments. Posted by user ThrowRA titled, "Would I be the a-hole if I deleted my friend's engagement pictures?" I tried to be short, sorry. English is my second language. I got married last fall. Where I live, fall means that the trees are changing colours, so the wedding pictures are to die for. We didn't have a huge budget, so a friend of mine asked her friend if she could do it for me. I had seen some of her work, and she's really talented, plus she's a total sweetheart. The only thing is, for what she charges, and since it's more of a hobby, you'll get your pictures when you'll get them. Well, I got them, and now I need to know if what I'm about to do falls into a-hole territory. A few days after my wedding, my friend announced to me that she was engaged. I was ecstatic and wanted to know everything. Turns out she got engaged at my wedding. My brain gets out of its vegetative state, and I remember her table being way too excited at some point, but I blamed the alcohol. I wasn't thrilled about it, realizing then that she had basically not only gotten engaged at my wedding, but instead of hiding it and announcing it later, she announces it to our friends during the party. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I figured, whatever. It's not like I even realized what was happening. We did have a discussion about it, and she didn't seem to understand why I was upset until I put it into perspective for her, asking her how she would feel if I made a big announcement at her wedding, taking the attention away from her big moment. In my friend's mind, it's no longer the day I got married. It's now the day that she got engaged. On my dime. We eventually turned to the page and I thought it was over. Well, I've sort of been friends with my photographer since the wedding because of common interests, and at some point, she told me point blank that now that we're closer, she feels comfortable asking me what to do with my friend's pictures because it makes her really uncomfortable. During the evening, the wedding party took a break to go change, and during that time, my photographer was taking pictures of foliage and the venue. My friends apparently told her to take pictures of her and her boyfriend. She didn't really see a problem since we weren't back yet, and they were guests. That is until she realized they were engagement pictures. Some poses just don't leave place to interpretation. So when she asked me what to do, that, accidents happen, I told her just to put them in a separate folder. Ever since, I've been thinking what I'm gonna do with that folder. My friend has been asking about my wedding pictures periodically, but haven't asked about her pictures specifically. It was easy when I didn't have them, but now I do. I've had them since April, and I know that she will eventually come out of hiding now that the pandemic restrictions are loosened. I want to delete the folder since they are my property anyway, but I don't want to be a major a-hole either. Before you say it, I do realize that I haven't forgiven her at all like I initially thought. Do it. Do it, OP. Do it. You know you want to do it, OP. You know they deserve it. It's easy to click that delete button, OP. I dare you. I double dog dare you to do it. How dare she? How dare she get engaged at your wedding and then hide it from you and not say it until now? And then when she does say it to you, like, it's so matter of fact, I got engaged at your wedding. It's nothing too big. It is exactly like you said. It's no longer your wedding day. It's the day that she got engaged on your dime. And I've got a feeling like you're not over it either, OP. I feel like you're making excuses for your friend because she is your friend, and that's very toxic of her to do. I for one think it's completely unacceptable to have any announcements like that unless you have express permission from the bride and groom that it's okay, and even then, it's very iffy. I see no universe where you're the a-hole for deleting the friend's engagement pictures. She can always get some more somewhere else where it's not on your dime. Sure, she's going to be sad that she doesn't have them anymore, but whose fault is that? It's all her fault. Oh wow, not the a-hole. You would be well within your rights. Announcing an engagement at someone's wedding is awful, but I would have been okay to let it go, like you. She might not have known a proposal was coming, and they didn't announce it to the room at large. Your initial response to her was good. But the photographer thing is absolutely unacceptable. I think I'd keep her hanging. Let her see the photos you've chosen of your special day, and never mention hers. If she asks, you can then make her explain why she got your photographer, whose time you had paid for and allocated, to take pictures that weren't about your day. You can choose whether to delete the photos or charge for them, but hopefully she will be sufficiently embarrassed and it will make her think. If not, I'm not certain I'd actually want her as a friend. Charge her for the photos. It was tacky to get engaged at the wedding, but extra shifty to ask for the photos on your dime. Not the a-hole. If you don't delete them, overcharge her for the photos. Has she had an engagement party or plans to have one? If not, charge her for half the photograph fees, since she insists on making your wedding her engagement experience. Not the a-hole. She cheated you out of money. Be it hundreds or thousands of dollars, wedding photos cost money, engagement photos cost money. Moreover, she knew what she was doing when she asked the photographer to take those photos. My suggestion is, 1. Never mention them and act like you have no idea what she's talking about, and 2. Ask your photographer how much she charges for an engagement shoot. Then, tell your friend if she wants those pics, she needs to pay for them. I would bet my whole left foot if someone did this to her on her wedding day, she would light the world on fire. I didn't actually consider that, although it was definitely not thousands of dollars. Like I said, our budget was pretty tight and she doesn't charge nearly as much as she should for the work that she does. I think it's worth exploring though, asking her how much she would have charged for it, and from there, I'll have a better idea of what to do. Make sure your photographer still has copies and delete yours. If your friend asks, tell her you don't have them and that she should get in touch with the photographer directly to work out any related costs. I love this solution. I was feeling not the a-hole, but I was also considering that OP does have to live with the fact that she deleted the photos, unlike all of us who can vindictively scream, "Delete 'em!" with no consequences. And if she cares to remain friends with this person, she may want to think twice. But this solves that beautifully. OP doesn't have them because she didn't want them. Friend can still get the photos, photographer gets paid for their work that they did on top of the wedding photos, and it works out great for everyone. Update: would I be the a-hole if I deleted my friend's engagement pictures? Thank you for the huge response. Your insight really helped. My update isn't really exciting, I'm afraid. When I wrote the original post, I was at the end of my rope and worked up all at the same time, but I stepped back and listened to your ideas. Although it was tempting to Photoshop hidden objects and, body parts on her pictures, we headed towards the civil path, so nothing dramatic, sorry. I talked with my photographer to see if she wanted to sell them the pictures. The way she sees it, they are my pictures to do whatever I want with since I paid for them. So my husband and I decided to leak a few of our pictures on social media and wait. It didn't take 2 days that she was asking about her pictures. I met with her and we talked a lot. Long story short, deep down she knew I would be angry about the proposal, the announcement and the photo shoot, but her immediate wants blurred her judgment, and after that, she was just gasping for air, trying to manage everything without losing me as a friend. But she admitted that she did it all wrong. She seemed genuine in her regrets, and it was a bit comforting to know that she was also struggling with this on her side. I'm a terrible person. No, you're not. You're not a terrible person. She said she wished she didn't announce it at my wedding. That the whole night she was worried that I would learn about it through our friends or some of my relatives sitting next to them, and that I'd never talk to her again. And then it was all done, and she didn't know how to navigate through all of it. When I confronted her the first time, she felt that if she admitted her wrongs, that she'd lose me in the process, so she decided it would be better to just invalidate my feelings. Now, that's not how she worded it, but pretty much. She didn't come clean about the pictures because she figured that that would be a problem for future her. I told her that I would have preferred she were honest with me, that a lot of the hurt and betrayal I felt came from her sneaking around and invalidating my feelings by acting innocent. This could have been dealt with months ago had she just owned up to everything back then. I told her that our friendship was definitely hurt by it, and that I didn't know if it would ever just go back to what it was. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is case closed, and we're building towards a better tomorrow. ETA, I forgot the most important part. I gave her the pictures free of charge. It was just not worth all the drama. We have common friends, and money tends to make things cold. It would also not make it okay or make me feel better, and we didn't want anyone to use it against us, if that makes sense. Like, why don't you go back to being friends now, right this second? She paid for them, didn't she? Some people have this weird idea that money erases everything. You are such a better person than I. From a complete stranger, I'm proud of you. Way to take the high road and not to be petty. But did you give her the pictures? Did you make her pay your other friend for them? I don't know how I did that, but I deleted the paragraph. I updated the post. My photographer didn't want the money, and we didn't want it either, so we just gave her the pictures. It was hard to take the highway, but satisfying all the same without the crippling anxiety that it's gonna bite you in the butt someday. Wow, you are the epitome of selfless and kind. I will strive to be less petty and mean myself, lol. You've inspired me. Oh god, no. I'm definitely not there yet, but I try really, really hard, so thank you. Good for you. By taking the high road, you're actually getting the best revenge possible, not stooping to her level and being able to hold your head high. Meanwhile, she can wallow in both what a terrible friend she's proven herself to be, and have it feel worse because she's lost someone who's proven to be a good friend. It's great to hear a story where being the bigger person actually wins. Wow, I would have either never given her the photos, or at her wedding, I would let her know that that's her wedding gift. Seeing as photographers are very expensive, and forever you will remember what she did at your wedding. I'd say it's a damn good gift. Edits, please announce you're pregnant at her wedding. It would just be... No, take pregnancy pictures with the photographer, then it's even. I'd be more impressed if she could give birth on the dance floor of the reception. Oh god. Posted by user Sean B. Lulz. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not sharing an intimate detail of my sex life with my mum? Backstory. My wife, 30 female, and I, 30 male, have been together for almost 12 years and married for almost 8. My wife has always wanted kids, but only within the last few years, around 3 years, have I felt that I would be ready for parenthood. Our parents would always ask about kids, and we would always give a vague response like, well, we're ready now, so hopefully it'll be soon. The problem for us is that my wife has a condition called vaginismus. For those who don't know what that is, it causes the vaginal muscles to be very tight, and it makes sex painful or even impossible. We struggled for years not even knowing this condition existed, and last year my wife finally started physical therapy. After starting physical therapy, my wife told her mum about our situation because she felt like she needed someone to talk to other than me, which I was completely okay with. The only other people who know about our situation are a couple of her close friends and a couple of my close friends. Over the last few years, we've said that we're ready for a kid. My mum would always make the most comments about kids, including talking about making sure we were prepared in regards to nutrition, prenatal vitamins, etc., and got us a couple books in the same vein as What to Expect When You're Expecting. My wife, at one point, had suggested that we tell my mum about our situation because she felt that my mum was becoming worried, thinking that we'd have been trying to get pregnant for a couple years. I'm not nearly as close to my mum as my wife is with hers, so it felt weird to me to share such an intimate detail with her. Problem. Well, we recently announced to our parents, over Zoom due to the pandemic, that we were pregnant, and of course everyone was thrilled. My mother-in-law accidentally slipped up and said something about being proud of us for overcoming our obstacle. She knew my mum didn't know, but I don't blame her for the slip-up, It's easy to say something without thinking when you're excited. Naturally, my mum wanted to know what she was referring to, and so we had to tell her. She blew up at us, saying that she had been so worried for us, and how could we not tell her? On one hand, I get where she's coming from, that she was concerned for us, but at no point did we explicitly tell anyone that we were actively trying to get pregnant. And in my opinion, it's an incredibly intimate detail, and no one is entitled to that information. I imagine part of her reaction was also due to us telling my mother-in-law, but not her. I haven't been able to talk to her since this happened though. My friends and her friends are a bit split on the subject, and I wanted to get some outside perspective. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? I personally think that it is something that you should keep to yourself, and that you don't have to share with other people, especially your mother. I can understand why she is upset because it would come as such a relief and a shock that it's not as bad as she was thinking, but then again, it's not her right to know that. The cat's out of the bag now, but for the entire time that you didn't tell her, it's fine. There was nothing wrong with that. You were not an a-hole for not sharing that intimate detail about your sexual anatomy, your sex life, whatever. She doesn't need to know that. Not the a-hole. This is an incredibly intimate detail about your wife. It has nothing to do with your mother. She has no claim whatsoever in knowing what the issue is. It's your wife's body, her choice who to tell it to, and of course she'll tell her own mum rather than your mum. Since it was your wife's body, it's only natural that she confided in her own mum first. I'm sure your mum will eventually calm and understand, especially since the focus should be around the excitement of a new family member. Congratulations and best wishes. As someone who suffers with something similar, you are absolutely correct. I told my mother because I wanted her support. I was scared and needed a woman I trusted to talk to this about and have her help me. I would be mortified if my partner's mother was told. I have no reason to believe she would keep that to herself. So in my mind, my partner's entire family knows my gynecological medical history. Mother-in-law, father-in-law, sister-in-law, grandparents, cousins, who knows? And I'd be even more upset if I didn't make that decision myself. I might be close enough to tell the mother myself at some points. Perhaps we were really close and had a nice evening when questions were raised and I felt comfortable answering. But a partner sharing my medical information without my consent? Intimate medical condition or not, that's not okay. Mother-in-law is probably mostly upset because she felt left out because the wife's mother knew, and she is seeing this as a baby issue and therefore a joint couples issue. But it's not actually her son's issue. He's involved, but it's not jointly his pain or information to share at will. Update: am I the a-hole for not sharing an intimate part of my sex life with my mum? I feel like positive updates are kinda rare here, so I'm happy to say that I have a positive update. My wife and I decided that we would give my mum a couple days to cool down before we reached out to her again, but she actually reached out to us first, asking to talk. She started off immediately apologizing for how she reacted on the last call. She said that she thought that we had been trying to have a kid for a few years and had been really concerned, especially since we didn't seem to be concerned at all. She had me in her mid-30s and regretted having kids so late, so she was worried we were going to wait too long and discover some infertility issue. She also said that since I was her only child, my wife was like the daughter that she never had. My wife had even let her plan the wedding. So when she heard that she had been left out, it made her realize that she wasn't as close to my wife as she thought, and the combinations of emotions cued her over-the-top reaction. After having time to think about it and talk about it with my dad, she realized how much she messed up. She really was truly sorry for how she acted and ruining what had been such a special moment. This wasn't one of those, "I'm sorry you were offended" type apologies. She didn't try to pass off her reasons as excuses, but just for us to understand the emotions that were at play for her. Overall, we had a really good conversation, and we apologized as well for leading her on and not directly telling her that we weren't actively trying for a kid for years because we were embarrassed about our situation. There were many tears shed, both happy and sad, but I'm happy to say that everything is now back to normal. I always think to myself how many situations on this sub wouldn't even be issues if people just communicated better, and I guess I can now add myself to that list. I'm hesitant to ask, because I don't want to risk ruining the positive vibes. I'm really glad you and your mother have arrived at a better place, and it's wonderful that she's capable of doing what so many of us aren't, and realizing that she's done wrong, and that you have open communication. But your apology to her makes me wonder, are you agreeing to let her in on intimate details of your marriage going forward? Because I do think she was overstepping with her earlier behavior, and that your boundary was a healthy one. I mean, there's really nothing else intimate to share unless we tell her when we have sex, which obviously will not be happening lol. And to clarify, our apology wasn't, sorry we didn't tell you about our sex problems, but more of, sorry we didn't explicitly say that we weren't trying to conceive. Just that simple comment from us could have potentially avoided the whole situation. Basically, everything's just back to normal and we both admitted to our faults. Here's a good thing. Now that you have shared this with thousands of people on Reddit, there may be a few women who suddenly get an answer that they were too shy or afraid to talk about with their guy. And you still keep it to yourselves. You're doing a great service. There have been a few people who have messaged me asking me for advice, so I'm glad I've been able to help some people because of this post. Glad everything worked out, but why did you stop your wife from telling her? I understand not being close to your mother, but if your wife wants to disclose personal information about herself to your mother, assuming she's not just a no mother-in-law, you should let her decide when she's ready to. I clarified in some comments in the original post, but my wife didn't want to tell my mum so much as she was accepting of the idea. Telling my mum at that point wouldn't have been for my wife's benefit at all, but rather for my mum's. In hindsight, my wife's intuition was accurate, but we had come to a mutual decision to not tell my mum. It wasn't like I told my wife that she couldn't tell my mum, she still could have if she really wanted to. Then, never mind. You did right by your wife. If she wasn't honestly ready, you were doing the right thing by not pressuring her. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.